Hello and welcome to Watches Releases Recap for the week of March 28th until April the 4th. Also, this is the week for Watches and Wonders, so we're going to talk about a lot of the releases from this industry trade show. I'm not going to cover all of the releases for obvious reasons, so in this video I'll just focus on some of my favorites and some of the standouts. First, let's talk about the new Grand Seiko models, the reference SLGB001 and SLBG003. These new Grand Seikos are some of my favorite releases from Watches and Wonders 2025. I think Grand Seiko has finally paid attention to the feedback from the watch collecting community, and it's given us exactly what we were asking for. There are a couple of new models, one in titanium, that's the 03, and one in platinum, that's the 01 reference. For the purposes of this video, we will focus on the one in titanium. I think that's the one that majority of people are interested in. First of all, the texture on the dial is very Grand Seiko. It looks beautiful, it looks like a frozen lake or something like that, and it has this blue hue, which is very pleasant. But the updates and the changes to this watch are where this watch really shines and makes itself different from other Grand Seiko releases. So first of all, we got the new spring drive movement caliber 9RB2, which is the evolution of spring drive movements. This one is the most accurate movement on the market. It is not a true mechanical movement, of course it's a spring drive movement, but it is for the most part mechanical, and this movement has an accuracy of plus or minus 20 seconds per year. Per year, guys. Incredible accuracy. On top of that, it also comes with 72 hours of power reserve, which is fantastic. And of course, there is no need to talk about the beat rate because these movements are absolutely smooth. The other innovation that I really like, I know that some of the other spring drive movements already had this, but I'm glad that they carried on with the tradition of having the power reserve indicator. But on this watch, it's actually on the back and you have this sort of cutout in the rotor so you can see the power reserve. I think that's very smart. Power reserve indicator is one of these underrated functions in the watch, one of the underrated complications. I'm really glad that it exists here. And of course, you can see the movement through a display case back. In terms of the dimensions of this watch, it's about 37 millimeters in diameter by about 11.4 millimeters in case height. And one of the reasons why this watch is thinner than other Grand Seiko watches is because this movement is slightly thinner. So not only is this exciting for this specific model, but it's also exciting for the models moving forward, because of course we're going to see this movement in watches in 39 and 40 millimeter diameter. We're also going to see these movements probably make their way into more complicated watches, the GMTs, etc. And having this movement be slimmer and this incredible accuracy is of course very welcomed. The last big change and the improvement to this model is the bracelet, more specifically the clasp. We finally got some micro adjustments on the Grand Seiko clasp. I can't believe it took this long, but here we are, we finally have it. It is a bit bittersweet because now we have very little to complain about with these Grand Seikos, I guess, other than the price, and the price is going to be a reoccurring theme in this video. The watch prices have really gone up quite a bit, and that applies to Grand Seikos. So the titanium version is about 12,000 euro, and the platinum version it's about 42,000 euro. And just to quickly talk about the platinum version, it is a limited edition to only 80 pieces, and it comes on this beautiful leather strap with a slightly more blue on the dial, but essentially everything else about the watch is exactly the same, just the case material has been changed from titanium to platinum. But that's not the only Grand Seiko release I wanted to highlight. We also got a couple of new chronographs, the Evolution 9 reference SLGC007 and the Wild Tokyo Lion reference SLGC009. I'm not making up that name, that is the actual name of this chrono. For whatever reason, Grand Seiko struggles with their sports watches. Their divers and their chronographs are not as good looking as their sort of dressy pieces, their go anywhere, do anything watches. For whatever reason, they're either too thick or too large, or they have these awkward cases. And I think it's a similar story with these two chronographs. To be fair, they're not exactly brand new models, they're just the newer addition in the Evolution 9 lineup. At least this 007 reference is. Now it comes with the frosted dial and the black ceramic bezel. This one is powered by the caliber 9SC5, which is an in-house chronograph movement. It beats at 36,000 vibrations per hour and it has 72 hours of power reserve. In terms of the case dimensions, it's a pretty large watch, 43mm diameter by about 15.3mm in case height. So you have to have a pretty large wrist to pull this one off. It also has the date at the 4:30 o'clock position, which is not my favorite. We also got this new special edition, the Tokyo Lion Telegraph. This one looks kind of interesting. It is not a limited edition, it's part of the standard catalog. It's powered by the same movement. It also features very similar dimensions and it also comes in a titanium case. This one features this really cool dial, which some people will like, some people not so much. I happen to like it. I think this is a very interesting release. For whatever reason, I really like this watch. Am I reaching out into my bank account and rushing to a Grand Seiko dealer to buy one of these watches? No, they are very expensive, but it does look cool. It looks different from everything else on the market. So this new Tokyo Lion edition is about 17,500 euro, very expensive, and the standard Evolution 9 is about 15,000 euro. Next, let's talk about the new IWC Ingenieur Watches. Ingenieur has been a fairly popular line of watches for IWC. It doesn't really look like an IWC watch almost, because IWC is really known for their Flieger watches. These here are these integrated sports watches, and now 2025, it seems like the integrated bracelet watches is all that watch companies want to release. So first, let's talk about my favorite one, the black ceramic version. This one comes in a 42mm diameter and it's about 11.6mm in case height with 100 meters of water resistance. And as I mentioned, the case and the bracelet are made out of black ceramic, which looks very sharp, although there is a watch that was released recently that looks almost identical to this. It looks like IWC actually copied one of the micro brands. I'm talking about Nevada Grandchamp. Look at these two watches side by side. You can't tell me that this IWC doesn't look exactly like the Nevada Grandchamp. And the benefit of Nevada Grandchamp is the fact that that watch is like 1,700 euro, as opposed to this new version from IWC is 21,500 euro. Yeah, you do get a better movement. This one is powered by the IWC caliber 82210, which beats at 4 Hz and it has 60 hours of power reserve. But at the same time, it is a pretty expensive watch. Now, speaking of expensive watches, there's also this new 5N gold version of the Ingenieur. It looks interesting and it comes in a slightly different case, 40mm diameter by about 10.4mm in case height. So it is smaller and thinner. I guess the ceramic version is slightly thicker because they had to include that titanium core in the middle. This watch here could just be straight up gold. It's something like 75% pure gold and 25% copper. That's how you get this nice color. It is powered by the same movement, but the movement is finished to a higher standard. It also features a gold rotor. However, this is a pretty expensive watch at 51,400 euro. Then we also got the 35mm version of the Ingenieur available. There are a few different color variations and these ones are smaller watches. As I said, 35mm diameter by about 9.4mm in case height. They also feature slightly different movement. This one is the caliber 47110 that beats at 4 Hz and it comes with a slightly lower 42 hours of power reserve. However, these watches are cheaper, so they're priced at around 11,300 euro. Still not exactly a cheap watch, but comparing to the other two, yeah, it's much cheaper. And lastly, let's talk about this new perpetual calendar Ingenieur, which looks spectacular. The blue dial in the stainless steel case always looks very classy. So this one is about 41.6mm in diameter and 13.4mm in case height. It is powered by the caliber 82600, which is a high beat movement beating at 4 Hz and has 60 hours of power reserve. As you would imagine, perpetual calendar, not exactly cheap. So this one is priced at 40,900 euro. All pretty interesting releases from IWC, and IWC actually had a few other releases, but I'm not going to cover it in this video. Maybe if next week is slow, I'll come back to those releases. Next, let's talk about the new Nomos Club Sport Neomatik Worldtimer collection. Now this is actually my favorite watch release from Watches and Wonders 2025. Nomos continues to be one of these underrated watch brands, and this watch right here just proves it. You get this fully in-house watch with the Worldtimer Complication in a super slim dimensions. So this one comes in a 40mm diameter by about 9.9mm in case height. You heard that right. It's under 10mm in case height, and it is an automatic watch with the Worldtimer Complication. So you get the second time zone as well as the jumping city for the local hand, which is really cool. And you also have the little pusher by the 7 o'clock position, which will sync the 2 time zones together. So that makes it much easier when you actually come back home. In terms of the color combinations, you have the 2 standard color combinations, the blue one and the silver dial one. And then you have 6 special editions. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of these 6 special / limited edition watches. I think they look all right, but my favorite by far is the blue dial version. I think that looks very sharp. Now, the best part about this watch, other than its dimensions and the fact that you get to admire this new beautiful caliber movement through a display case back, by the way, is the caliber 3202, which is a movement that beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and it comes with 42 hours of power reserve. So other than all of these things, my favorite part is actually the price point of this watch. It's under 4,000 euro, 3,940 to be exact. That is an incredible price for this watch. I can't believe this value, this design, these dimensions in this watch. Other than the design might not be everyone's cup of tea, you gotta admit, this is one fantastic release. Next, let's talk about the new Tag Heuer Formula One Solargraph. When LVMH became the official sponsor of Formula One and Tag Heuer became the official timekeepers of Formula One, this collection is exactly what I was imagining. Sort of a special edition for each different Grand Prix, and available in different colors, available with different materials, sort of capitalizing on the popularity of F1 and giving Formula One fans, especially fans in attendance, something special to buy and take home. It was great when Rolex was the official sponsor, but let's be honest, Rolex was kind of boring. They didn't really give you any special watches for Formula One, and a lot of watches were not even available at Formula One races, you know, the whole Rolex story. So having Formula One actually create special editions for different Grand Prix is getting me pretty excited, but also these are kind of fun, cool, funky watches. So first of all, they come in different materials. There is the stainless steel version, there is the DLC coated stainless steel, and the resin version. All versions come in the same diameter, 38mm by about 9.9mm in case height, and they're all solar powered watches with, of course, quartz-based movements, with a 10-month power reserve on a full charge and 15 years of battery life. Out of all the available funky color combinations, I think the classic black looks really good. That's very Tag Heuer. I also like the Silverstone limited edition, the green one. I think that looks pretty good. And to be honest, the prices are all right. Yes, they're on the higher side for what these watches are, but at the same time, what do you expect from a watch in 2025 from a company like Tag Heuer with this F1 partnership? These watches are not going to be like $1,000, right? They're going to be more expensive. So these ones are around 1750 euro, and the prices go up from there depending on which version you get, whether you get the one on the bracelet or whether you get the one on the strap. The bracelet, you add another 100 euros. So it's not too bad. And again, I'm kind of glad that these watches exist, especially if you attend one of the races. Let's say you go to a Miami Grand Prix, and now there is a special watch that you can buy at this Grand Prix for around, $2,000. It's not too bad, and I think these type of releases will make a ton of money for Tag Heuer. Next, let's talk about the new Baltic Scalegraph Tour Auto 2025 limited edition. Moving from one racing-inspired watch to another racing-inspired watch, this one is a proper racing chrono, and it's actually here to celebrate another year of Tour Auto. This one is for 2025, of course. For the last 3 years, Baltic, who are a French watch company, have been the official sponsor of Tour Auto, and for the third time, we're getting a limited edition to celebrate the fact. I actually just did a review of this watch, so you can check it out on the channel. I will also leave it linked in the description below. Needless to say, I'm a pretty big fan of how these watches look and the overall sort of aesthetic that Baltic is giving us. And in terms of the dimensions, the cases are 39.5mm in diameter by about 14.1mm in case height. So these are actually thicker than the previous versions, but that's because the water resistance has been bumped up to 100 meters as opposed to 50 meters on the previous versions. This watch is powered by the Sellita SW510M hand-wound movement. That is a high beat movement beating at 4 Hz, and it comes with 63 hours of power reserve. And people always ask me in these videos what watch I'm wearing. Usually is the watch that I reviewed that week. In this case is the Baltic we're talking about. And in terms of pricing and availability, as I said, this is a limited edition to only 400 pieces. It will be available for orders, I think, on Monday. And the price of this one is 1,750 euro. Next, let's talk about Patek Philippe and the Cubitus now being available in a 40mm case. When this watch was initially introduced, it came in a stainless steel case, 45mm diameter, which was one of the big problems with this watch, at least from the watch collecting community's standpoint. The response to this one was mixed at best. I personally was not a big fan of this release, not that I'm in a market for a Patek Philippe anytime soon, but nevertheless, you can still have opinions even about the watches you're not planning to buy, and this one didn't really work for me. Part of the reason was that larger diameter. So now it's available in a 40mm case by about 8.5mm in case height, and it's available in both white gold and rose gold cases. So this smaller case is only available in precious metals, not available in the stainless steel. The stainless steel watch still exists, but it is the larger version. This one is still powered by the same caliber 26-330SC, which is of course an in-house Patek Philippe movement that beats at 4 Hz, and it comes with about 35 to 45 hours of power reserve. In terms of pricing and availability, these watches are available. They're part of the standard catalog, but of course, good luck trying to buy one. It's pretty much impossible. And the pricing for either version is about the same, 46,000 euro. The new Oris big round pointer date models. So this release is slightly puzzling because we got sort of two different versions in the same model line. So first of all, we got the pointer date with the new caliber 403. That's the in-house caliber for Oris watches. And then we also got the Sellita based pointer date models. So now there are two different versions available. The Sellita ones are of course cheaper and they look slightly different. The in-house version is more expensive, and again it has slightly different dial variations, and the overall design is slightly different. In terms of the case dimensions, they're pretty much identical, 40mm diameter by about 12.3mm in case height, and both versions come with about 50 meters of water resistance. Both versions come in stainless steel cases. As I mentioned, the Sellita based one comes with the caliber 754, which is essentially a Sellita SW200. It beats at 4 Hz and it comes with 38 hours of power reserve, as opposed to the in-house movement, that's the caliber 403. This one has 120 hours of power reserve, and this version also comes with 10 years of warranty, as opposed to 5 years warranty on the Sellita based watch. And in terms of the pricing and availability, both of these are permanent collections, and the in-house versions are 3,600 Swiss francs for the strap version and 3,800 Swiss francs for the bracelet. For the Sellita based ones, it's 2,000 Swiss francs. I think releases like this is what's keeping Oris sort of behind. They can't seem to make that switch to completely offer in-house movements. They want to sort of play both fronts. They want to play the lower price category with their Sellita based movements, and they also want to move into that higher price category with their in-house movements. And I think it's kind of hurting them, because I don't know of many other watch companies that offer essentially the same watch in two different price categories depending on which movement you go with, the in-house movement or the Sellita based movement, right? I know that some companies, when they make the switch, they offer the same model for a while in both movements, but then they gradually make the switch. But here we have a brand new release, brand new models being released with both movements, which is a bit strange. The new Ulysse Nardin Diver Air. This is the lightest diver watch on the market. It only weighs 52 grams, including this supplied strap, which is incredible. The case is 44 millimeters in diameter by about 14.7 millimeters in case height. It has a few different materials. There's the titanium middle with the nylon foil and the carbon fiber parts. It's this very complicated design to achieve such lightweight. In terms of the movement powering this one, it's the caliber UN 374, which beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and it comes with impressive 90 hours of power reserve. On top of that, I think the movement and the watch is pretty handsome. It's not classically handsome, it doesn't look like a traditional diver, but in some way, I like it. And I'm not a huge fan of skeletonized watches. For whatever reason, I think on this one it works. As you would imagine, a watch like this is not exactly cheap. This will not be a limited edition. It's part of the standard catalog, and this watch is priced at 38,400 euro. The new Bulgari Octo Finissimo Ultra Tourbillon. For the last few years, Bulgari has been really focusing on giving us ultra thin watches. Them and Richard Mille are sort of battling it out who will give us the lightest, the thinnest watch on the market. This time it's Bulgari on top with the world's thinnest tourbillon watch. This one is only 1.85 millimeters in case height. That is paper thin. It's like a credit card thickness with a working tourbillon. The diameter of the watch is about 40 mil, but I mean, who cares about the diameter when you have the watch this thin? This one is powered by the new caliber BVF 900, which beats at 4 Hz and comes with 42 hours of power reserve. In terms of pricing and availability, this one is a limited edition to only 20 pieces, and it's a very expensive watch, 750,000 euro. And lastly, let's talk about the new Vacheron Constantin Solaria Ultra Grand Complication. And just like with the Bulgari, I only wanted to highlight this watch because it's a world record breaker. This watch is only one of one without an official price tag, although the experts are saying this one will be somewhere in the 7-figure price range, which is just insanity. You can buy a mansion for that price, but here you get the world's most complicated watch with the total number of 41 complications. I'm into watches and I didn't even know that there were 41 different complications that you could pack into a wristwatch. A watch like this, if you even could call it a watch, at some point a watch doesn't become a watch anymore because it has all these other things that it could do. I'm gonna put a list on the screen. It's just incredible the amount of engineering that went into creating this watch. So a watch like this usually is not a wearable piece. It's something that just exists for the sake of existing. But this one surprised me because you could actually wear it. It has reasonable dimensions. How crazy is that? 45 millimeter diameter by about 15 millimeters in case height, and the case is made out of 18 karat white gold. Yeah, it's on the thicker side, 15 mil, but it is still wearable. A lot of sort of regular chronographs are thicker than this watch, which is just incredible. So this one is powered by the new in-house caliber 3655. It has 1,521 different components. It beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and it comes with 72 hours of power reserve. And probably to service this watch will cost you as much as buying that Bulgari that I just talked about. This watch is just incredible. And that's it for the watches that I wanted to highlight in this video. As I said, some of the watches that I might not have highlighted in this video, I might highlight in the next week's video, because probably over the next week, we're not going to see too many new watch releases. Watches and Wonders kind of is a big watch release week. So following weeks are going to be a little bit slower. So I might focus on some of the other releases later on, and maybe leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what Watches and Wonders releases stood out to you. Maybe some of the watches that I haven't talked about in this video, so maybe I'll cover them in the next week or the week after that. I always enjoy reading your comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.